Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Police Commission. I know we have...
Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. I know you're here tonight. We have some very important matters on our agenda. I will start the meeting. This is the agenda for Wednesday, September 14th, 2022, an in-person regular meeting at 7 p.m. in the Watertown Hall, Town Council Chambers. The first matter on the agenda is a roll call. Please start at the left or right.
Russ. Robert McCarthy.
Richard Antonetti.
Jamie Lambeau.
Richard Rossi. Carmine Brown.
Thank you. And let's see, any other officials here? Superintendent? Okay.
Retired police chief.
Pardon me?
The retired police chief.
Former police chief
At the back.
Allison is in the
Oh,
back.
where's John? Oh, former Chief of Police, John Gavalis. Anyone else?
Chief of Police, Josh Berniger.
Okay, I think we have everyone. You have that script there?
Okay. A motion to amend the agenda. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to amend the meeting agenda to insert after item 8, Chairman's report, the following. Enter into executive session for purposes of discussing a personal matter.
I'd like to second that motion to enter into executive session.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, motion is accepted. Public participation. I would request, if you have something to offer on as far as public, come up to the mics at one of the mic on the table in front of us and give a statement which will be recorded. So please, if you'd like to, public want to participate, approach a mic, have a seat, and you should have a orange light. Okay?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Raymond Wade. I had sent an email to you. I'm sorry, I forgot your last name.
Antonetti.
Antonetti.
I am
And
chair. Could you just state your address?
I live on 87 Bamford Avenue in Oakville.
And your name?
Raymond Wade.
Thank you.
No problem. I had some correspondence with the chief. I have an issue with vehicles traveling down Bamford Avenue at like absurd rates of speed. I have three children at home, 8, 2, and 1 years old. I'm here just to explore what options I have as a resident in town to try to curb the cars that come through there. Sometimes, you know, I understand it's used as a cut-through road. I've been there for almost 3 years now. And I'm not looking at the people that are going by a little bit too fast or whatever. It's the cars, it's on a daily. The cars that come by there, you know, modified exhausts, and they're flying up and down the road, and I've had enough. So I'm looking for something that can possibly be done. And that's basically it. I'm not really sure like what my options are, you know, so I figured just logically, like, let me call the police and see where we go from there. I was referred to, you know, our meeting here, and that's basically it. I'm not sure what to do.
Do you have any specific problems with that gate being open?
With what being open?
The emergency gate?
Mr. Chairman, this is a complaint about speed traffic.
On Bamford Avenue.
Okay.
Through the chair? Not to interrupt you, Chief. Can I ask him a few questions?
Not now. We'll
Not
get to
yet?
that
Okay.
Later in the meeting.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir. Do you have one specific problem with that gate being open, or what's your feeling on the gate?
There isn't, the issue is not a gate being open. The issue is vehicles traveling by my house on Bamford Avenue at obscene rates of speed.
Okay, you're Bamford Avenue.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I believe the chief has a letter that he did receive.
Yes, and I have had some correspondence with the
And I
chief
did
personally.
talk to you, I left a message on your phone.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir. I was unable to call you back, and I do apologize for that. I was working late tonight.
Yes, and I believe the chief will be addressing that later in the meeting. But if you want to address it now, chief, what is going to be done?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did have a telephone conversation with Mr. Wade a couple days ago.
Yes, sir.
He did express his concerns about the speed of traffic and the noise that is occurring on Bamford Avenue. More of an epidemic across our country right now, and not singled out to one roadway. However, I understand your local concern on your roadway. We are putting Bamford Ave on our speed enforcement list. You'll see extra officers on your road in the coming weeks running radar. We had also discussed things along, you had mentioned things along the line of speed humps,
Yes.
stop signs, and other measures that would require further investigation.
Yes, that was mainly the reason that I came here tonight. Everything that we spoke about, I was pleased with. I think that, they seem like reasonable, measures to be taken, but I would like to possibly explore other, speed deterrent, things that would be available or, whatnot, and I'm not sure if that's something that is addressed here or at a different, town, council type thing like this. I'm not sure what they're called.
And we'll also have Bamford Avenue on the list to get our speed radar signs.
Yes, you had told
Put
me
onto
that.
that
Yes, sir.
road.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments, sir?
I don't believe, no,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Anyone else like to speak? Please come to the mic.
Yes, sir. First of all, thank you, Commissioner Antonetti, for allowing us to come here and be part of this meeting. Chief of Police, thank you very much for giving me recommendations how to handle this complaint that we have.
Can you just
I live
state
at-
your
Yes, sir.
name and address for the
Yes,
record?
sir. I'm Richard Stack. I live at 66 Augusta Street, Oakville, Connecticut, 06779, next to the John Trumbull School. And the reason that I am here with my neighbors is to address the back gate at John Trumbull School, which is primarily for emergency use only. I did attend the Board of Education meeting with my neighbors, and I can see this is a different format. And am I on a time limit here, sir?
No, you can stay as long as you
Oh,
like,
thank you very much.
but I hope over.
I have several documents that I've made copies for you, including new ones that I'd like to give to you. The back gate at John Trumbull, back in 1998, before the school was built, there were conditions that needed to be met before the school can be built. And condition number 2 was that the back gate was to be primarily used only for emergency use only. Well, in 2000, when that school opened, right off the bat, they broke that condition, and they opened up the gate. And the people of Watertown came to a Board of Education meeting, and they made a complaint, and the Watertown Police did a traffic study. And it was found in the traffic study that the back gate needed to be shut, there was no traffic problem, and they needed to use the front gate exclusively. Enter COVID. A lot of parents wanted to drop their children off and pick them up. They didn't want them to ride the bus, and they thought there was going to be another traffic problem, so they opened up the gate, and it created a lot of issues for myself and my neighbors. Because the last meeting at the Board of Education, it seemed to fall on deaf ears, and I was not forced, I chose to take more action and recommendations from our current chief of police. May I approach with 11 pictures so you can hand them down? This is a safety issue, sir, and I can prove this.
Okay.
Can I approach?
Sure, please do.
If you can please pass these down one at a time. If there's anything in dispute that you can't see that there's a safety problem, please let me know. You can keep these, please.
Over the yellow line on this one.
There's nothing safe about these pictures.
When were these taken?
These were taken approximately 1 week ago, sir.
Okay.
And I'd like to submit other copies that I had. This one here is a petition of 43 signatures of myself and my neighbors trying to ask the Board of Education to please shut the gate. And all these documents, please, you can keep them for further reading.
Right, well, we'll keep them in our file on
Yes,
this.
sir, thank you. This one here is an email from Mr. Pothering, traffic safety engineer. And this was to Allison Villanueva, I believe her name is.
Correct.
You can review them at your leisure. This here, sir, is a letter of formal complaint that I have hand-delivered to the Board of Education and the town manager.
How many signatures did you say? you had?
43, sir.
43.
Yes, sir. And last but not least, these are the minutes that I dug up from 2000, when the school was first built. This is also the traffic study the Watertown Police Department did. When the school first started, they broke condition number 2, and they opened up that back gate, just saying, we might have a traffic problem. Well, you can't call 911 unless you have an emergency. So these are the notes in the Watertown Police Department investigation on the traffic study.
May I ask a question to that man?
We'll get there, yeah.
Okay.
We'll finish some of this. Yeah, more. Let the record show that I have placed as a permanent member to the commissioner, to the commission, Mr. Russ, James, you will be a permanent member, okay? Let the record show Commissioner Russ is a permanent member for Commissioner Genetti. What we are doing now is looking at all the documents that have been presented. There will be a file retained at the police station with this matter, and if there is any litigation, these will be used in that litigation. Mr. Stack, you abut the gate, where the gate is?
The back gate at John Trumbull School is on Gorman Street and Portland Street, and it basically is one lane access. And as you've seen in the picture from the winter time presented, there is no way buses can travel through there. You can see them jockeying for a position.
Right.
I do live on Augusta Street, and I took one picture that you can see is Portland Street. I can present several pictures, but you get the point, I'm sure. And I just wanted to put the Portland Street so you know that they're using both roads as it's a block. It's a figure eight, basically. There's two exits. There's no back exit except for the emergency gate, which people go in, traffic, delivery trucks use. In our neighborhood, not just has all this new traffic with the busing, we also have propane, oil, FedEx, UPS, Amazon, and a lot of other additional traffic. There are no sidewalks on our road. I'd also like to point out that in 1998, when all these meetings were had and traffic study was done, that condition number 2 was the back gate was for emergency use only. And we were guaranteed, as our neighborhood was told, there would be no traffic issues. So when they opened the school, they right off the bat broke condition number 2. We had traffic issues. That's not right. So in other words, the Board of Education feels like they don't have to follow the rules. They expect our children to, our bus drivers to, and our residents to, but they, to me, feel like they're above the law. They don't have to follow the law and follow the conditions that were presented before the school was built. Well, now we have the school built, we can do what we want. That's how I feel, and I feel like we're, as a neighborhood, being bullied, and their will is being forced on us. And I thank you all for letting me present this.
Thank you. We're going to have some questions. Are there any questions from members of the commission for Mr. Stack?
I do, Mr. Chairman. The pictures on that bus, what street were they on?
One picture with the snow was at the gate, and that
Right.
was Gorman Street.
Right.
That was in the wintertime. 9 of the pictures were at Augusta Street and Buckingham Street. That's the road that I live on.
Okay.
There's one picture that I did take on Portland, just as to show that they're using both streets. Now, I could have sat up there and took a whole bunch of pictures on Portland Street, but it wasn't necessary to flood you with. It's just the basic safety issue is what I was trying to present. As one picture, you can see the bus is right down smack the middle of the line. On this side and that side, there's no way that is safe for the drivers or the students or the residents because we don't have sidewalks.
I was up there this morning because I knew this was coming up, and I turned off of Buckingham Street onto Portland Street, and then I made a right onto, is that Augusta Street, and that's where that back entrance.
The back entrance would be all the way down Portland to Gorman Street. That's where the gate is.
On Gorman.
On Gorman?
Yes, that's where
Yes, sir.
I turned in, and then I turned around. The gate was open, I came back, but that Portland Street is a very narrow street.
Yes, sir.
And Augusta Street is a very narrow street.
Yes, sir.
The other street is parallel to Portland that you're talking about?
Gorman Street?
Gorman, yeah.
Gorman Street connects to Augusta Street and Portland Street.
Okay.
At the gate. Now, there is also one more street, Holton Street, which is the figure 8, and that's the way it comes in between. So when the buses come out of the gate, and they figure, well, there's a couple of buses up there at the end by Buckingham, we're going to cut down Holton Street over to Augusta and just try to get up that way. So they're all over the place like bees.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's an issue with cars coming out of, like, say, Portland Street to want to get onto Buckingham Street and turn either right or left.
Yes, sir, and it's not just the buses. The parents are coming in and out, creating more additional traffic in our neighborhood.
So are the parents coming into that back gate and that little circle where the school is, are they coming in picking up their students, their children there?
They're picking up and dropping off, yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. Are they waiting on those side streets in a car also?
I don't know about the residential or the vehicles, but I can tell you the buses have stopped right in front of my house and sat there because they have to wait until they can go farther. Now they're just sitting out there idling.
Right.
And I actually went out one day and said, please move on. You can't just sit here.
Okay, yeah. I was there this morning and looked at 9 o'clock. I wanted to go after the school started.
Yes.
But I just wanted to see what the layout was, so I would know, because what's going on myself personally, you know what I'm saying?
Now, I can testify that when COVID first came out and when they opened the gate, I counted 14 buses came down Augusta Street and then dropped off, and 14 buses came back up. And then in the afternoon, you had that parade coming on again. Now, this is going on 2.5 to 3 years, and our neighbors and myself has appeased the Board of Education because everybody was scared when COVID came out.
Certainly.
We didn't understand it. But now, after 2.5 to 3 years, this is not a new normal. We all know that COVID's going to stick around. We have to adapt to it. But using that back emergency gate is not adapting. That is just, it's wrong, sir.
I agree. COVID has turned the world upside down.
And I can say in the email that I've presented from Mr. Ryan Pothering, the transportation safety, traffic safety, he had made recommendations, a short-term recommendation and a long-term recommendation that the Board of Education, if they wanted to change the rules from 1998, they'd have to take further steps and do a further traffic study, hire a traffic engineer to do that study, and do things properly. He made suggestions. You could put another exit entrance on Echo Lake Road. You could put a traffic light. You could put more parking spaces in. They refused, the Board of Education, I would say, refused any of those recommendations, and they just opened the gate, and they're going to do as they please. And that's what I can see so far.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from members of the commission? Okay, thank you, sir. We will take someone else who would like to speak. Come up to the mic.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. State your name and address, please.
My name is Frank Genova. I live on 104 Pleasant View Avenue, and I'm having probably the same problem as everybody else with the gates. They opened up the back gate on the high school, and I don't know if you know how it comes out. Tower Road comes up this way, Riverside comes this way. It's a three-way intersection. It just bundles up. You got cars pouring out of this gate. Nobody stops. There's no stop sign there. Nobody stops. If there was a stop sign there. The grass was up like this. Finally, a town manager went up and looked at it. They got a weed whacker and cut a little bit of grass down, about the worst job I've ever seen. Anyways, the kids are coming out of the gate the same time the cars are coming out. You must have 30, 40 kids coming out of the gate. Cars coming down this narrow street. Parents are parked all over, but now, I've got to admit, the chief, he did bring a cop up there. Nobody did. Nobody parked there when they seen the cop there. Then after a while, they're phrased out, the car start parking again. Now they have a cop there again every day. No cars are parked there, so that's one benefit. But that gate has got to be closed. Somebody's going to get hit by a car, one of the kids. If I don't stop coming up Tower Road, you would think I have a stop sign coming in the middle of the hill because they're not going to stop coming out of this high school. And I have another question. Do you know how many gates the Watertown High School has?
As far as the high school,
Yeah,
it's that one gate is the emergency gate.
they have 3 gates in the Watertown High School.
Where are the other two?
The other one's in the back. You can't see it because of the maintenance is so poor. There's trees growing all over the place, and there's even a stop sign on that one. You can't even see the stop sign. I can show you pictures of the 3rd gate. But the point is, if they're going to keep a gate open, this one's a 3 intersection. The other gate would come out. It would just be 1 road. Would make a lot more sense to clean that up, but even though I don't want it open, it's got to be closed. I've been fighting this for years. The chief knows. I talked to him a couple of times. I talked to the town manager about it. Then they agreed that they're going to, I agree with the town manager that they're going to open the gate. Somebody's going to be out there to stand there and watch the traffic go, so when people come up the hill, nobody's going to get hit. So I don't know if they're doing that or not. But the thing is, this week the gate's been locked. I noticed that. Sometimes it's not locked for 2 or 3 days. Sometimes you go to 8 o'clock at night, the gate is open. There's no reason for that. Then I read in this paper this morning that it's a law I don't know if it's true, it's a law that those gates gotta be closed.
Right.
Well, if it's a law and they open up the gate, is that breaking the law?
Thank you. You're absolutely right.
Right, so if they open that gate tomorrow morning, they're breaking the law. Are they gonna get arrested for doing this, or could they just do what they want? And then, first time I went to the city chief, he talked to the school, he went up there, we had another meeting, and they told me the reason why the gate is open is because the buses are running late to pick up the lower grade school, which isn't true. You can't even get the truth out of them. Leave in mind having a gate open and closed the way it's supposed to be. Sometimes I get tired of being lied to all the time. Now that gate, when you redid the parking lot in the high school, when they redid the whole school, right? Well, there's a pickup and a drop-off area in that school. I don't know where it is because I don't have kids in school anymore. But nobody wants to go there because, well, it's going to take them a couple minutes to get out of the high school if they go in there, so they just use the road. And then they pull over right at the stop sign. Well, like I said, right now you're doing a good job with the cop up there, but when that cop leaves, those people are coming back. They park on both sides of the road, so you can't even get by. If you ask when to leave so I can get by, they won't even move the car for you. I'm not going to sit there and argue with these people. It just gets too much after a while. That gate was the same thing. It's supposed to be closed. There's no reason. And then they said they got, well, when the car comes out of that gate in the rear, they are from the top of Tower Road to the bottom of Tower Road, still waiting to come out. That whole hill is filled with cars. You can't even get up it sometimes. And there's a stop sign at the bottom of the hill, so that backs up traffic. And it's just not right. I don't have to put up with this. It's just been going on for years and years between the double parking up there, there's parking, no parking signs, but nobody listens. They just park there. My wife, one time, she couldn't get home. She asked, would you please move the car? They said, we have the right to park here. Go ask the school, they'll tell you. She said, I'm not going to ask nobody. I'll call the cops. So she took her phone out. They finally moved. You got to put up with this to get to your house? Of course you wouldn't, would you?
Right.
Nobody would. And this has been going on for years and years.
That's why we're having the meeting tonight. Hopefully we'll get some resolve. Thank you, sir.
Pardon?
I said tonight, we're having this meeting. Hopefully we'll get some
Yes, the thing I want out of
resolve.
it, I want that gate closed permanently. That's the way it's supposed to be. And another thing, there is a lot of cars in that schoolyard. You go up there and you look at them, there's a lot of cars. Then after school is dismissed, guess what? There's a lot of cars in that schoolyard because half the cars are still there, or the teachers' cars are there. They don't leave at the exact same time. Anybody that has activities after school, their cars are there. There's not that many more cars than there is every other year. The schoolyard is usually filled with cars, and that's the same thing it is. Maybe there's a few more, but there's no traffic jam on the other side. They got a light out there. They turn right when they want. Everything is convenient there. You go on our side, you see the dump. I'd like to show you that third gate. Would anybody like to see a picture of it? You won't even be able to see the gate. That's how overgrown it is and what a mess it is over there.
Right.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak? Please state your name and address.
Dave Kleben,
When you
641.
get to the mic, please.
641 Buckingham Street, Oakville.
First name again?
Buckingham Street, Buckingham and Augusta.
Okay, thank you.
Now, I'm not a good public speaker, so.
Don't worry
I may
about it.
tend to get a little. I'm just going to reiterate a little bit on what Mr. Stack said. Living right on the corner at the stop sign, when I come home from work, whether I come up Buckingham Street from towards Polk School and turn left onto Augusta to get into my driveway, or if I come southbound from John Trumbull down and turn right onto Augusta Street. I have a hard time watching the buses come up the road and they're just like, get out of my way, I'm coming up the road. My part of the road is so narrow, I don't think it's probably 25 to 30 feet wide with a double yellow line, okay? When that bus comes up, if I don't get out of the way and that bus comes over to the other side, it's gonna drive up the curb and up my lawn. If they stay on the double line and I gotta get by, I'm gonna go over my neighbor's curb and over their lawn, okay? There's no need for these buses to coming up and down these narrow streets, okay? For one, the buses come out of John Trumbull, there may be 6 kids on the bus. Why are we running a bus for only 6 kids? Okay? I watched today, a bus came up, I waited till it came up, I went down towards my driveway, and I stopped and waited. The bus came up to the line, made a right-hand turn to go down Buckingham. As soon as it made the turn, stopped, let somebody off, okay? A student that lives that close to John Trumbull School, do they need to ride the school bus? Can they walk home? When I went to school, I walked from Buckingham Street all the way to Polk School and back every day. I didn't have the option or pleasure to ride a bus, okay? These buses are getting way out of hand. This has got to stop, okay? The gates need to be closed, and I'm sure there's other neighbors here that are going to come up and speak their piece too also. But I'm going to throw another thing into the mix, and I don't know if this is going to hurt or help. Something has got to be done, either the way the timing is of the dismissal of school, the school buses come in, pick up the kids out the front gate. When the buses are gone, then the cars come in, pick up their kids if they got to wait 10, 15, 20 minutes, pick up their kids, go out the front gate. If they don't want to wait, let them ride the school bus. That'll cut down the vehicle traffic. If not, the buses can drive all the way down to the back circle where the back gate is, pick up the kids, come right back around, and go right back up. There's enough room for buses to come up and down, go out the outer driveway, come back out, and go back out to Buckingham Street while the cars are coming through the front, picking up their kids. There's plenty of room for traffic going either direction, okay? This gate needs to be closed. There's all kinds of crap going on there. Like Mr. Stack said, the gates are open at night. Who knows who the heck's going in and out of there? Riff raff what? They come in the front, try to beat the cop. They're going to come around the back. They're going to go up Portland Street, up Augusta Street. Who knows what's going to happen, okay? The cars and buses issue is a problem, okay? And I'm going to throw another thing into the mix, okay? French Street, the kids getting out at Polk School, okay? Bus issue is on one side. There's double row of cars waiting on French Street by the Oakville Fire District, okay? It gets worse every year. It used to be a line coming out where the crossing guard is. It would go down probably halfway to the back of the school, maybe to the ball field, and stop. Cars parked in a double row. Now that line of cars goes past the ball field to Dalton, almost to Tarbell Street, of people waiting with their cars on the side street. The cars are to the yellow line. People are coming from uptown down French Street to Buckingham. I'm going the other direction and almost got a mirror taken off of my car because they're crossing the double yellow line to come to get to where they're going. It's an issue there, and it's an issue down for St. Mary Magdalene School coming up Buckingham Street. Something's got to be done. Either these parents got to be told their kids need to ride the bus, or there has to be some kind of alternative way to get them out the gates that were approved, okay? The gate at Buckingham Street, which is the issue why I'm here, I just threw that other little tidbit in, needs to be closed, and they need to find another access or different time slots, or eventually down the road, I know the town owns more property that comes out onto Echo Lake Road where there's a cistern or a dry pond there to catch water, but the town owns all that land. They could develop another access to come out onto Echo Lake Road if it ever gets to that, which I really don't know if it's going to. But I think that Board of Ed is using the back gate as a scapegoat, and the residents of Portland, Gorham, Houlton, and Augusta are suffering the consequences for it.
Thank you,
That's
sir.
it. Thank you.
Is there anyone that would like to speak and add some new light on the area that we've been discussing? Please come to the mic.
My name is Susan Stack. I live at 66 Augusta Street. You had asked earlier if there were cars parked on the side of the road waiting for the school. Well, they're not parked on this side of the road, but one of our neighbors sat in front of her house, counted 14 school buses and 43 cars. That's unacceptable. I've had a problem getting onto our road coming home from work because the bus is in the middle of the road. And I stated this already before to the Board of Education, that now I'm holding up traffic on Buckingham Street because I can't get onto my own road. I've come home and here's 4 buses coming out, and there's a line of cars that goes all the way down to Gorman Street because they're all coming from the back gate. Not only that, you got W.B. Mason. Well, why should he wait at the front entrance? Let me go through the back gate. You've got the oil delivery trucks that deliver to the school. They're going through the back gate. We have so much traffic on the road, and like my husband said, COVID changed a lot of things. If you look at my neighbors, we're not 18 and 19-year-olds, okay? People have to have their lawns cut for them. They have to have things delivered for them. And we have all that traffic on top of all the buses. So something needs to be done, and the thing that needs to be done is the gate has to be closed. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to add something new? I think we got the message.
That's another man, yeah.
Got one more. My name is James Rotella. Is my light on? I live at 59 Gorham Street. The buses go by our house all the time to go in and out. So be it. In wintertime, when the road freezes up, it becomes an issue. Last year, we had an issue with 3 buses that couldn't get down Portland Street to go onto Gorham Street because the road was frozen. Every time they turned their wheel to the left to go, to make go out in the street and make a turn, they went straight ahead because it was icy. My street is not level, there's a pitch to it. When they come by our house, they tend to slide towards our front yard. I'm waiting for either them to slide through the stop sign and down our driveway or right into our hedges in front of the house. It's not safe. They don't have to have buses come down. We're older, we don't travel a lot. So when it's icy, we know enough to wait for the sand truck to come by and sand. They have to make their schedule, so it is dangerous, and I wish they wouldn't. I mean, my wife has videos of them sliding all over the place in the wintertime when there's storms. They need to use the front gate, which is cleared all the time. That's my piece.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to add to this? Is there anyone else that would like to participate in public participation? Is there anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Please state your name and address.
Catherine Camera, 31 Cottage Place in Oakville.
Thank you.
I don't know if this meeting, I was away last week. First of all, I didn't know the meeting location changed. It would have been nice if, when you change the location, maybe put a sign at the police department because we were waiting there, a couple of people, and found out. So I don't know if this meeting is dedicated to the issue that's been brought up because I have a couple of other issues that have to do with safety and in town that are not related to that. So I know you've been sitting here for a long time. I would like to say what I have to say, but if you were dedicating most of this to the issue with the school, I could wait, but do I have the opportunity? I have several things to bring to your attention.
Well, if you'd like to make your statement, we're open to hear it.
Okay. So the first issue happened back in July, and I spent a couple of decades in insurance defense, so I'm very particular about liability. So I'm going to bring you a picture. Sorry about the quality of it because it's just a copy. Okay, so that was 4th of July down in the Oakville area. It was a big, large vehicle parked on the sidewalk. It was beautiful. It had flags all over it, which is very patriotic, and that's not the issue. The issue is that this very large truck was parked on the public sidewalk down in the middle of Oakville. It is illegal to park on a sidewalk. My concern with this is that the town allowed this to happen. Because if someone was to have gotten hurt, if you have kids walking by, kids playing around, had anything to do with the truck, somehow climbed up on it, fell off, who's responsible? Well, the town let it stay there. We're going to have liability. So I'm not really sure. It would seem to me that it wasn't ticketed, it was left up there all day, that somebody had permission to do that. And I'm bringing it to you as the parking authority, the authority that you have, that you might want to look into that, because I don't think that that was appropriate, and it could be a problem for the town. The second thing I'm going to talk about is the new stop signs. I'm not sure if everybody can get a copy of that. There's 3 pictures stapled together. So we've installed a couple of new stop signs in Watertown. The first one that I noticed was at Lake Winnemog Road and Speary Road. And the reason why I noticed it was because I have a nephew who's been living in town about 4 years, and we were taking a trip on a Saturday to the transfer station. I told him I was going to show him a different way to get there. So we were coming down Speary Road, which is the first picture. We're coming down Speary Road. We're talking, I'm not paying attention. The stop sign says, all way. We stopped. He looked. He started to go. There was a truck coming up Winnemog Road. I wasn't thinking anything of it. I thought the guy was going to stop until he didn't stop, coming towards me on the passenger side. And I'm thinking, what the heck is wrong with this guy? Well, then we noticed that the stop sign had a black bag over it. There's a white line in the road, but the stop sign had a black bag, and you can actually see that in that first picture. We didn't even, I don't look at to make sure a stop sign doesn't have a bag on it. So then if you flip the page, so we went on to the transfer station. The second weekend, I go that way again, and there's the black bag still on the stop sign. My first thought when that had happened was that somebody did that. Not that the town did it, but that somebody did it. I wouldn't know why. So the second weekend, when I see that, I'm like, what in the world is going on? So I drove down Winnemog Road and came up to see what it looks like for someone driving up Winnemog Road, and that's picture number 2. There's a sign that tells you that there's a stop sign coming. There's a white line in the road, that's picture number 3, and a black bag over the stop sign. Now, I don't know about you, but I learned that when you got a white line in the road, you got to stop. And I certainly learned if a sign says there's a stop up ahead, to expect a stop sign. So I called the police department to say, something's wrong. Somebody's put a black bag over this, and I find out from dispatch that, oh yeah, that's been on Facebook, that's been mentioned. I mean, this was going on for a while. There's been a black bag over a stop sign for like a month with signs that tell you that it's an all-way stop. Now, that's a liability for the town, because if an accident happens there and the town's aware that they're covering a stop sign, the first thing the first thing a plaintiff's counsel's coming after you for is the town with the deep pockets. I know. I used to work in that field. That's a town issue. So, I don't have any pictures of the next one. I'm leaving this building a couple weeks ago, and I'm going down Echo Lake Road. Here we have, in the road, it says stop ahead. I knew from coming here that there was going to be a new stop sign. There's the sign again that tells you you're approaching a stop sign. There's the white line in the road, and I stop. There's a black bag over the stop sign. I'm looking in my rearview mirror to make sure there's nobody behind me that's going to slam into me because I stopped. Okay, that's a problem. There should never be, once you put up a stop sign and you've put up all the warnings, hey, it's up to the driver to figure it out. You don't put a black bag to say, you're going to have to figure this out, we're putting up a new sign. When you get I drive in traffic a lot, I commute a lot, and I don't like traffic, so I get off a lot of times and start finding back roads. I don't even know sometimes where I am. Sometimes I'm not even sure what town I'm in until I hit something else. But I'm paying attention because I don't know. So I'm paying attention to when I see white lines or stop signs or whatever. I don't need warnings that it's coming. I don't need to be baby fed. It's up to the driver to figure out that there's a stop sign. And hey, listen, if somebody goes through it and an officer sees them and pulls them over and they say, hey, I've been in town, I didn't even know. I mean, I could understand for the first month or something, saying, we realize, but, you got to be careful. But this black bag, I don't know where that has come to be okay. It's not. It's a liability, a very serious liability for the town. That's what I'm trying to express here, is that it's bad for drivers, it would be bad to have an accident, but it would be really bad for the town. And lastly, I just want to say that something I can't believe I never noticed until this was going on. So that same nephew moved into town, and they live up on Oak Drive, off of Straits Turnpike. Now, Oak Drive comes up, it circles around. They live up at the top, almost right at the top of it. So you come down, and I always stop and look, and then I proceed left to go back down to Straits Turnpike. Well, there's no stop sign there. Most people always stop. There's not a stop sign there. There's not a white line. There's not a stop sign. You get a kid with a new license or something, hey, they're not going to stop. There's no stop sign. Yeah, when it's Oak Drive.
And that enters into 63.
Well, it's not where it enters 63. It's up. So Oak Drive, Chief, it goes up. It circles around. It makes a circle. But when you're coming down the hill, you'd be at this intersection of Oak Drive and Oak Drive. Okay? So anyway, those are things that I think are liabilities for this town that really, obviously we don't have any other new stop signs that I know of, but should we install any more new stop signs? I think this putting a black bag over it is really not a good idea. Thank you.
Before you leave, did you report this black bag covering stop signs to anyone?
I reported the first one that I saw on Lake Winnemog Road. I called the police department, and dispatch told me that they were aware of it and that it's been on Facebook, and it seemed like it's something that was well known. I believe I then brought it up at a town council meeting, and within 2 days it was no longer, the black bag had been removed. But when they put the one, which was probably 3 weeks maybe after that, the one that went up down here at Porter Street, that one also had a black bag on it. I'm not sure for how long, because it was removed the next time I went by, but I don't know how long it was. Thank you.
Through the chair, I can address some of those concerns.
What is that, Chief?
I said I can address some of those concerns if you like, Mr. Chairman.
Sure, please do.
So after the Police Commission authorized the installation of those particular stop signs, the work was given to the Public Works Department for the installation. With the Public Works Department, we coordinated a go-live date, if you will, for when those stop signs were going to be unveiled. That go-live date was publicized widely through the Town Times and on the Town and Police Department's Facebook page. The Public Works Department had done the actual work and the intersections, the installations, the sign, et cetera, a number of days prior to the unveil date. And like the unveil date was going to be like 6 or 7 a.m. on a particular date. We can certainly re-examine that particular procedure if we do install any further stop signs. I understand the concern.
Thank you, Chief. Is there anyone else that would like to testify?
John Ballas, 116 Pineview Drive. Just wanted to make a quick comment about the truck and the flags that were on the sidewalk in Oakville on 4th of July weekend. I thought I put this to bed at the last council meeting. There was a truck there with American flags on it over the 4th of July weekend, And of course, no one put a ticket on it, because that's what, in law enforcement, that's what we call discretion. Someone driving by and saw the truck would recognize it was a patriotic display on the 4th of July. And as a military veteran, I was proud to see it there. So there's nothing to look into. Nobody violated the law. I don't know if he got permission. He wouldn't need permission. It was discretion. So that's why the truck didn't get a ticket, and it was there on the 4th of July displaying the American flags.
Thank you, sir. All right, is there anyone else that would like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
I don't have very much to say this time, but what I wanted to
Could
point
you
out-
state your name and address
okay.
on the mic there? Thank you.
My name is Cynthia Tim. I live on 18 Portland Street. I was brought up and raised in that area. And now I'm seeing these buses coming down, and they're speeding. Now, I like to have a police officer coming at least one of the places, down at the bottom or up at the top, because they go right by your house and they really are going at a faster speed. When I take my car and I'm going home, I put the brake on and go slow and get into my driveway. And I don't have to worry about people running out because I can stop quickly. Those buses cannot stop quickly. I was a bus driver a long time ago for the schools in Waterbury. And when you put your brakes on, and you're stopping fast, you're sliding. You're not stopping right away. You might be maybe 10 feet, 20 feet away from where you were. And this is what I'm so frightened of. And I have two beautiful great-granddaughters. When they come to visit me, they're there when the school is out, and they go into my yard, and they used to play in the front. Well, we got to go in the back because of that fear I have. And they're so beautiful. So this is my complaint also. I didn't put it on the other one, but I'm putting it there today because that really is a problem. Okay?
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Catherine Cameron, 31 Cottage Place. I just wanted to reiterate what I was saying about that truck that was parked on the sidewalk, because my issue wasn't so much, I just said, you know, it didn't get a ticket or anything because it was allowed to be there. The point I was making was the liability issue, not whether or not it was ticketed or you know, as I said, right, it was very nice, it had the flags, it was great, 4th of July, but the point that I'm trying to make is that it's a liability issue to allow that, for the town to allow that. It's unfortunate. Certainly we would want to do that, but it becomes a liability issue. That was my point. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak on any other matters? Anyone else like to speak? Anyone else like to speak? Okay, public participation is closed. Let us move forward on our agenda. The next item on the agenda is approval of the June 8th, 2022 meeting. Do I have a motion?
So made.
Do I have a second?
I second it, Robert McCarthy.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, motion is passed unanimously. Chief, do you have a correspondence in front of you?
The only correspondence I have, Mr. Chairman, was from Mr. Wade, and I believe he's already expressed his, stated that correspondence into the record today.
Okay. And item A under correspondence, Superintendent, Watertown Highway Department, Robert Grand Prix, and he wanted to comment on the intersection of Echo Lake Road and Porter Street. That was a matter that a member of our commission, Commissioner Rossi, would you like to say something about that intersection?
It was a long time in coming.
Is your mic on?
Yes, it is.
Good.
The only question I had about it is it possible to increase the size of the sign for visibility? Because someone has approached me on that, and he said the sign, the whole concept of the sign was a good idea, except that they felt that the sign was
Regulation?
too small.
Too small.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Other than that, I think it's a go. I think we're in good shape.
Chief, I think maybe if there was a larger sign, the one that is currently, could you check with the highway department on that?
Mr. Chairman, I did check with the Highway Department today. The next size up for a stop sign would require 2 posts, and that would significantly block the sidewalk in that
Okay.
particular spot to do that. So putting a larger stop sign there really is not an option. We did discuss, however, the installation of red reflector strips being placed on the entire length of the pole as you approach it, which will give the stop sign a lot more visibility.
Good, thank you. Moving on the agenda, further forward, new business, discussion of the possible action to be regarding the utilization of the rear emergency gate at the John Trumbull Primary School and also the rear gate at Watertown High School. I believe we have the Superintendent of Schools here. Would you please come up and take the mic? No problem. Could you please state your name?
My name is Allison Villanueva, the Superintendent of Schools for Watertown Public Schools. So just as you're handing that out, as mentioned, you may already have a copy of that from Mr. Stack. So dear Chairman Antonetti and members of the Police Commission, Chief Berniger, as well as members of Town Council and Board of Education that I see sitting in the audience, and our entire Watertown community here. Just thank you, first of all, for opening up your agenda, for putting this topic on there. It's an important one to the people behind me, as well as to our schools, so we really appreciate that. Like I said, you may have already received this correspondence. The first one is from Mr. Ryan Pothering, who's a transportation engineer with the Department of Transportation. And the second...
Could you move a little closer to the mic?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Of course. And the second communication there is an email between Mr. Pothering and myself, and Mr. Stack is also CC'd to that. Right out of the gate, I just want to state that we are in absolute agreement with Mr. Pothering's email and his recommendations, and we respectfully request that the town move into an immediate traffic study of the areas between John Trumbull and Watertown High School. We would like them to take a look at how the traffic study may impact the creation of a secondary exit for both school buildings. And in addition to that, I just want to thank our local police department for the continued help, and I hope for continued assistance as we move forward to help us surveil the back gate and use of how that is being used by our schools. The traffic study is something that not only the school district is going to benefit from, but also the town. Right now, at this time, both John Trumbull and Watertown High School only have one designated entrance and exit for basically everyone. And John Trumbull and Watertown High School are our 2 largest schools. John Trumbull has approximately 650 children attending between the ages of 4 and 7 years old, and Watertown High School has approximately 750 students attending. In addition to that, we have not only the student population, but we also have faculty and staff who work in both of those buildings as well. And with the one entrance for everybody, buses, cars, even pedestrian walkers, you can imagine that it's quite a bottleneck at any given point in time when we're doing arrival or dismissal. So really, the traffic study wouldn't only just be addressing convenience issues and certainly how it's impacting our community, but it would also address an immediate public safety issue that our schools are in with just that one bottleneck entrance. The first document you have there is the certificate that many of us are referring to, dated back to 1998. When the original certificate was signed, it was for Watertown Elementary School, which now is called John Trumbull Primary School. And the conditions of the certificate actually expired within 2 years of the original signature. However, I looked through it very carefully, and a lot of the parameters we agree with. Specifically, number 7 there is one that works actually quite logically and reasonably, because it reads that the State Traffic Commission reserves the right to require additional improvements or changes as deemed necessary due to the developments of traffic in the future. We are at this point 24 years since the original certificate was signed. I would hope that we agree that 24 years may be the future and that our community has changed. Definitely the enrollment in our schools certainly has since then. So again, the developments is a public safety address. So I just wanted to also provide a picture, just because I don't have an actual picture to hand you today. We used to have roughly 60 cars that would basically move through the front of John Trumbull off of Buckingham. At this point, we are almost up to 300 cars coming in and out of just the front of Buckingham into John Trumbull. That's a more than threefold increase, and we are trying to accommodate that out of a 1 entrance and 1 exit. The emergency exit at the back was utilized during the pandemic because it was truly a emergency. And although I really can't blame everything on COVID, I know it's easy to do that, I can share with you literally what happened. Literally what happened was that any one part of a school system was required to social distance, we were required to wear masks. Basically we were supposed to limit interaction. So basically, for 2 years, many of our families drove students and children to and from school because we couldn't have them close together on the buses. We had to maintain safe spaces. And because of that, we are still feeling the effects of those cars. So we are this year strongly encouraging our parents to take the bus, strongly encouraging our parents to tell their kids to take the bus, ultimately, to reduce the number of cars moving out of John Trumbull and the high school. But the fact actually doesn't change that we only have the 1 entrance and exit, and we do need that secondary entrance. Similarly, at Watertown High School, the single entrance for 750 students, pedestrian walkers, faculty, and staff really is not sufficient anymore. At the high school level, we have adult drivers, we have adolescent student drivers, we have buses, we have walkers, and the same bottleneck. With at least about 600 cars in that area, we are seeking basically entrance in the morning and after school. You do also feel the congestion on the main roads as well. That is why that back gate is used for a finite amount of time. The back gates at both schools are open for, I think, the most of 20 minutes at a time, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, 40 minutes for the entire duration of the day. And those short windows of being open to let cars come in and out at the high school, no cars at John Trumbull, really does help for the flow, and it also helps the main roads. You can see how a secondary exit would very much assist our schools. In the end, it is the law that our schools provide transportation to our students, and so we certainly will uphold that. And I just want to thank you for just your consideration. And again, schools are very much in agreement with an immediate traffic study. We do need that second exit. And I also think, there's a lot of work that the town is now moving forward in on the roads. I think that will assist as well, because we do have some narrow roads in town. And then, so I'd also like to acknowledge our community just sitting behind me here, who live closest to our schools and who are feeling the impact the most. Please know that it is our goal to find the best and the safest solution for both of our families and members of the town. And we thank them for sharing their concerns. And it doesn't go on deaf ears. We do hear it. We do try. And then also, again, as I was requesting assistance, just some of the accuracies of the number of buses and number of cars. I would love the WPD to be able to assist us in just surveilling that accurately, and we can get some counts over the coming weeks. So thank you, and if there's any information that I can provide, just let me know.
I have a few questions. Do you ever hear of the LTA, Local Traffic Authority?
The Local Traffic Authority?
Local Traffic Authority.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do you know what it does?
Not in specific if you're looking.
Pardon me?
Not in specific if you're looking for something in specific, but I know what they do ultimately.
Okay. Why did who did you get permission to open the gates from?
So I believe that was prior to my arrival here in the district, but it wasn't a permission type grant. It was a discussion with our local enforcement because of the emergency situation to have the gates opened.
What emergency?
The pandemic.
Well, that's a great excuse. But did you read any rules and regulations concerning the emergency gate?
We did, Chairman Antonetti. So again, it was before my time, but I do believe that the Board of Education was going off of the certificate that you have there, and the certificate had expired.
It did not expire. It was to be implemented. Number two said that this gate is as an emergency gate and
Yes.
only to be open in an emergency.
Correct.
Say, for instance, there was a fire at the school. The fire engines would crash through that emergency if there was an incident of a shooting at a school.
Correct.
The police department can crash through that gate because, again, it is to only to be used in an emergency. And if you wanted permission to change something, you would go to the local traffic authority, by state statutes, has the authority to make changes. And obviously, the state has issued the same permit numbers that these gates must be closed. Now, in the year prior, 2021 to 22, dismissal time was changed a bit, where if you had a green pod, and this is the system that you use, where you gave permission to cars and buses to go out that area. It was not before your time. This was in 21 and 22.
Correct.
So you directed the green pod cars to go out that rear gate, down those streets.
Right.
And again, with no permission at all.
Right.
Who did you get permission to open the gate and leave it open? I went over there Sunday. I could drive in and out of that place without any problem. Then I followed the route that is dictated with one-way signs and where there's a turnaround for the buses to use Buckingham. So there is no reason, maybe COVID, no reason to open those gates. And I have to get a statement from you.
Sure.
What are you going to do in the future?
Sure. So I can certainly talk about what we're going to do in the future. Like I suggested, I would like to work with the local PD and the town to talk about the building of a secondary entrance and exit for both of those schools.
I'm concerned immediately. Tomorrow,
Yes.
school is on. What's going to happen to the gates?
At this point, with the number of vehicles and people coming in and out, we really do need to continue using it as an emergency exit.
On Friday, will the gates be locked?
Mr. Antonetti,
On
I would
Friday,
like
I'm
a second, I know, I understand what you're doing. The gates ultimately, until we can get our ridership down, would require to stay open so that we can get our kids in and out safely. So my request is that we can go into the traffic study immediately so that we can get a secondary exit out.
Do you realize these are emergency gates?
I do realize
When you
that.
go into a store, there are emergency exits that you cannot go through, and they specifically are used for emergencies.
You
I
are
think we're having a
correct.
problem understanding the wording, emergency gates.
Sure. Chairman Antonetti, I certainly do understand the wording of emergency exit, but stores that have emergency exits probably wouldn't have over the number of fire, sorry?
Please, she's speaking, let her speak.
Yeah. There's usually a number that's allocated to a store or a building or a room. We certainly abide by those in our school as well. We can have only a certain number of persons in our building at the same time. And so if we exceed that number, typically the fire marshal would come out and tell us that we have too many people in that space. We have grown to the point where we have too many people in our entrance and exit during arrival and dismissal. So I am in no means disrespect the police commission. I absolutely understand how important it is to follow the law, and I certainly do know what an emergency exit is. But I
Do you
would,
feel you're flaunting the law by keeping that gate open?
oh goodness, no, I would never do that.
Then I would like to hear that it's going to be closed.
So if I close the gate, just so that I can share what my conundrum is, if I close the gate, as the superintendent of schools, I put the safety and risk of our students and families and our buses
How about the
at a
residents
higher.
in the neighborhood? How about the safety there?
Right. And this is where it's a really tough push and pull, and that's why I think the immediate traffic study needs to be done so that we can think of a secondary exit. I totally agree. The roads are narrow. It is very difficult for the residents to also get in and out of their places as well. And you're right, there are no sidewalks. So the difficulty for me to close those gates is that if I close them, I then increase the safety risk for all of the families who are picking up and all of the buses who are coming in and the pedestrians who are walking through.
Mr. Chairman, may I speak?
Yes, Mr. Commissioner.
Strong suggestion to make everybody happy. I would go back to the schools tomorrow, write some letters to the parents and the bus company, inform them on a certain date, all the gates in the back of the school will be closed, and to make adjustments so that they have the time to drop their kids off or pick them up, and the buses are separated from the parents. They were separated for that reason, because of the overload of parents bringing their kids in and picking them up and dropping them off. And the buses can let off their kids without getting run over by the parents. So I think a letter is an issue to the parents.
Yes.
And the bus company.
Thank you.
And hopefully by next week, you would have those gates closed.
Thank you for your suggestion. I have been in communication with the families, and I will certainly continue to do so. I do request that our WPD would assist us then. Again, I can't do an immediate closure. This is ultimately a behavioral change as well. But I will just want to reiterate, it is the intent for us to reduce the number of vehicles in that arrival and exit time so that I can safely close those gates. But at this time, I know that I cannot safely close those gates.
So the suggestion that was made by Commissioner Ross, you would go along with?
Yes, I can't, however, confirm that it'll be within a week, Commissioner Ross. So it would take me some time here. So again, please know that the intent is to try to rectify this problem. But at this point, it's just unsafe for me to do in an immediate fashion. If I could try to get an ETA on how that might work, I will give it my best to do so. But it requires a number of stakeholders to be part of this process. And I do think the traffic study will help immensely, because if we can get a secondary outlet, or if we can get a secondary loop, it just helps us very much so to do so that way.
There was a traffic study I have in front of me from the state, and they have here the way traffic would move based on the data provided by the application, by the major routes of service, the size of SR 855, the generated traffic, and from in and to out the site of Buckingham, approximately orientated to the following: 55% from the north, and that's again, 45% from the north, and again, percent from the south was 45, and 55 also percent from the south.
Correct.
The facility is expected to generate 179 vehicles and 144 vehicles exiting and the site during the AM and the peak hours, and during the PM peak hours, 126 vehicles.
Correct.
Now, this study should be done, I think, again,
Yes.
and I think it's incumbent upon the Board of Ed to do that. And then we'll have accurate numbers moving in and out up to Buckingham, not using, quote, the emergency gates.
Correct.
And this is the key issue, the emergency gates.
Yes.
They must be closed. Rule number 2, in the report from the state, and you did get that report from the state, which you passed out. I also have that report. And I also talked to the person. The gates must be closed. And you have to work on, some work, the Board of Education has to work on rectifying this problem.
Agreed. So I agree that this is exactly what the analysis was back in '98, the 55%, the 45% for approximately 179
Right.
vehicles. I do agree that the split would be
There's
very
been
helpful.
growth, yes.
Absolutely. The growth, and also we don't have the north and the south entrance, ingress and egress. So right now, we only have the one north. So I would agree that going back to this, to have that secondary exit and entrance would be very, very helpful, and that would alleviate this problem entirely. Like I said, I will very respectfully work with all of our stakeholders to try and close that gate as soon as possible. But at this time, I just need a little bit of time to be able to start to change the behaviors of all of those cars. But I do agree that this study should happen right away.
I think the urgency has to be expressed to the Board of Education.
Yes,
And it
they
is
are
the
aware.
responsibility of the board to rectify this problem, but they must be made aware that they are violating a law. And I don't think that's a good example for any students in any way, shape, or form. And it's not a good example because we are here as a commission to enforce the law. And the only way we can say to you is please, please go along with the fact that those gates have to be closed in a timely fashion.
Thank
Set
you.
a timetable and get back to the commission what has been decided. I believe the last meeting was at the end of August. I have minutes from the August meeting. I have what you presented there. Maybe you could read that, Commissioner, what you did say.
So from the August 29th, 2022 Superintendent's report. So as we started with COVID a couple of years back, we were using both gates at John Trumbull and Watertown High School. We had at one point several buses and several cars going through the back gate at John Trumbull and
Correct.
several cars at the high school. Since the start of COVID, we have drastically reduced the number of buses that go through the back gate.
Correct.
And there are no more cars that go through the back gate at John Trumbull, but there are still a few buses that go back there.
Correct.
And that was the statement to the Board of Ed. I think, future meeting, I assume in October. You
We
will-
do.
or-
We have another one towards the end of September and 2 more in October, yes.
Right, so maybe either in September or October. Hopefully, I will keep you on the agenda for October and see what progress has been made.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. I would be remiss if I didn't get an opportunity just to say on behalf of the Board of Education, please know that you have a Board of Education, me included, that very much upholds and respects the law. And our law ultimately is to the families and children of our community, and that public safety and the safety of our children is one that we very much stick by. So I know that every member of our Board of Education would feel that way as well.
I think it is very important that you mention strongly that if there is any incidents, that because of the fact that a fire engine or a police car is those gates create a problem, that rests on the shoulders of the Board of Education. We have tried to get compliance, and you are working on compliance with the law, and stress that. Thank you.
May I say something?
Yes, Robert.
Yes. May I, okay, thank you. I just have one or two issues.
Sure.
If there is an emergency and the dismissal, they're coming out of those gates, then an emergency personnel cannot get in, be it the fire department, the police department, or an ambulance, because the gates are blocked by people coming out. Second of all, I thought you stated that those gates were closed 20 minutes after the time the school opened. Did I hear you correctly?
So there are times, it's supposed to be, I believe, from 7:20 to 7:40 that the gates are open, and then they're once again open at the end of the day. I can certainly go back, because I don't sit at the gates every day. I can certainly go back and work with the administration and the custodial maintenance team to ensure that if they're not closing it in a timely fashion, that they certainly do immediately after dismissal is done.
Right, because I was at John Trumbull this morning right around 9 o'clock, and the gates are open. And according to a lot of the neighbors living in that area,
open.
they said those gates are open all the time. I have been up to Watertown High on occasions, and that back gate is open all the time, nights, weekends, so forth. So I'm sure you'll address that issue, that some of the staff at that school can close those gates after they're doing this. And also,
Absolutely.
I think this is kind of a security issue to have those gates open for people coming into that school. Because if they come in the back gate at John Trumbull,
Right.
how do you know who's on your property? You have it all fenced in.
Right.
And if they have deliveries being made, shouldn't they be made from the front entrance and they have a mission to the school?
Right, so you're absolutely right. Those, I can't remember if it was for John Trumbull, but the gates at Watertown High School were actually not originally there when they built the school. I believe Watertown High School and just that area in the community went through a string of car thefts. And so then they implemented the gates at that point to be able to close off the parking lot. But for the most part, like you mentioned, I will talk with our custodial maintenance team so that they are more diligent with making sure they close that gate right after dismissal's done. And as for the delivery people, boy, oh boy, GPS on a phone takes them just about anywhere and everywhere. So sometimes we get them in the back gate, sometimes we get them in the front, sometimes we get them coming up to central office. So that I can't control because FedEx and UPS, I don't know what they use, but they land somewhere. Yeah. But I can definitely work with the custodial team.
I know COVID has turned the world upside down. I was also in education for 36 years as a classroom teacher and a school administrator. I've dealt with busing of students of 1,200 that came into the school every day on a bus, and I've dealt with students that had an enrollment of 700, and maybe only 100 came on the bus, but it's an issue. But I think security is a big issue here with those gates open, and also for the same thing as a emergency. They can't get the emergency vehicles in if people are coming in or out.
If they're coming in and around. Okay.
So maybe you will, in a timely fashion, work to have those gates only open when you need them on a temporary basis right now.
That's right.
You know,
Thank
until you get this letter out to the parents and you
Yes.
rearrange whatever you have to do, you know.
We will give it our
We certainly
go.
appreciate it.
Yes, I would agree. Thank you.
Are there any other comments from the members of the commission? Any other comments? Only members from the commission. Hearing none, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank
And I
you.
hope that those problems will be addressed. You heard the members of the public, people who are very affected by it. We have a petition that is part of the file.
Thank you.
And you will go back to the board at your next meeting and express the problems that exist and must be addressed.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Okay, we're going to move on to the rest of the agenda. We have other matters on our agenda tonight. I think, where are we on? Old business? Yes, old business. I'll update you on the road safety audit. I talked with the town manager. The road safety audit, most action is going to be taken in 2023. There will be some immediate action dealing with the parking issue in the downtown area. The other issue is the update on plate reading device. Chief, do you want to talk about that quickly, maybe?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. As you know, about a month ago, our license plate readers went online. We have 10 of them deployed around the town of Watertown. These plate readers are designed to take an image of passing vehicles. The software then analyzes that particular picture, locates the license plate on that vehicle, and actually reads that plate and runs those plates against a database provided by the Department of Vehicles. That database contains all the hits that that license plate number would be associated with, such as if that vehicle was stolen, if that vehicle is associated with an Amber Alert or a missing person or a wanted person or a stolen plate, amongst many other types of hits that we can receive. We have had great success already with our license plate reader program. The license plate reader program allows us to help combat crime in two ways. The first way is it provides live alerts to our officers on patrol. Whenever a vehicle passes one of these cameras, it sends an alert to each patrol car that a stolen vehicle just entered town at a particular location, and it actually comes up with a picture and the license plate of that stolen car and notifies the officer as to which camera it was. And assuming we have resources available at the time, we can move to intercept that stolen car coming into town and to try to engage it as far as either make a traffic stop or escort it back out of town gently. We've also already had instances where we've been notified that a car is coming into town that has associated with a person that has a warrant for their arrest. We've been able to quickly locate that vehicle as it comes into town, effect a traffic stop on that vehicle, take that person into custody, whether it's our warrant or a warrant for another agency. That warrant gets served and processed. So the live alerts have been met with great success, especially on the midnight shift, where they're able to deploy resources fairly quickly to locate a stolen vehicle coming into town. As we know, most of the crime right now that's occurring, not just in the state of Connecticut, but across this country, is occurring from vehicles that are already stolen. And we're able to locate those vehicles coming into town quickly, intercept them, and either get them back out of town or effect a traffic stop on them. So it's been a great success. The second way they help combating crime is through the information that's in the database. The information is stored for a period of 60 days, so we can go back after a crime has occurred, and it's a wonderful method for us to research what vehicles may be involved in that crime. As you know, the catalyst for this LPR program was the shooting we had on Kimberly Lane a year ago, where a resident had 7 shots fired at it in the middle of the night. The LPR system in that case would have provided us some valuable information as to what vehicle was associated with that crime. So in an instance like that happened again, we would be able to go back into this program and research the vehicles that passed nearby at a certain time, and it would give us a possible lead into a suspect. Many other communities in the state of Connecticut have adopted this very same program, and we are able to access all of the data from the other communities that have the LPRs as well. So it's not just being able to research the data from Watertown, we can research data across the state for trying to investigate a particular vehicle. It'll tell us where that vehicle has been in the state recently, and we can possibly get leads. So it's been a valuable program for us.
I passed out a copy of what had happened when there was a warrant for somebody and then stopped the vehicle that was in our town and therefore brought the person to the neighbor town and turned her over to the police department in the neighboring town. So
yeah, that's correct.
It is working well, and I'm very happy to see that. I think that's a great technology movement forward on monitoring our streets and increasing the element of safety in our neighborhoods. The other thing, Chief, item number B on old business is updates as far as the placement of speed reading signs I know we have about 6 units or more.
Mr. Chairman, we have 4 speed radar devices that are deployed throughout town. 2 we've owned for about 2 years now, and we just acquired 2 from the state of Connecticut on a grant. We have 2 currently deployed on Porter Street. One's facing each direction. As you know, we've had some complaints of speeding traffic on Porter Street, and the speed radar signs coupled with actual radar enforcement on Porter Street have been taking place now for about 2 months of time, and it's been met with success. We generally leave these speed radar devices up for approximately 3 months at a time before redeploying to a new problem area. As far as the 2 brand-new units we just received from the state, we've had Public Works install actual mounting poles at 4 locations in town that we're going to rotate these 2 devices between. They're currently deployed on a pole on Davis Street in the vicinity of Swift Middle School, and one on Hamilton Avenue in the area of Judson School. The idea of these 2 that we got was to really focus on the speed of traffic near our public schools. We've also installed poles on Bunker Hill near Georgetown and Middlebury Road near Deerfield. These are 2 problematic areas for us for the speeding of traffic, so that we'd be able to easily deploy those signs to those existing poles now at those locations. As we receive complaints from residents regarding speeding on their roads, we will add those locations to our list where we're going to deploy these signs for about a 2 to 3 month period at a clip, and couple that with actual radar enforcement.
Okay. Ultimately, we had earlier first speaker, Mr. Wade. Ultimately, do you think there might be one needed there?
Yeah, as I expressed to Mr. Wade that we do have Bamford on our list now to deploy a speed radar sign up there, and it'll probably happen about a month from now before we can actually move that sign to that location.
Meeting with your rotation.
Yeah, these signs are, the 2 older ones we have are actually mounted to existing utility poles.
I did see that.
It does require the assistance of Public Works to come out with us with some of their equipment to install those signs. So we have to arrange a date in the future to actually work with Public Works to make that happen.
Okay, thank you, Chief. I think I have nothing to report other than the updates on the old business. The other matter that we have is a executive, what is it? Yeah, we have to go into a special session, and it requires that we have to go into this executive session. We're going to be going into the back room. It is a personnel issue which we cannot discuss in the public. So at this time, there is no real other business that we have other than talking about this executive session. When you would like to leave, you may leave now, but we will be in that executive session for a little bit of time. Yes, sir?
I respectfully ask for 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Go ahead.
Thank you. Just going the way of yes, sir.
What we don't want to do is back and forth.
30 seconds, sir.
He's very short. Hit it.
Yes, sir. Just 30 seconds, please. Ms. Villanueva did cite that she will not close the gate at John Trumbull. She will not comply because of safety. Now, in my presentation, when I first gave the 11 photos to you, I asked, and I'm not putting anybody on the spot, if you've seen anything in those photos that were safe. Nobody said anything. Every photo was unsafe, so you can't say I'm going to cite safety and not shut the gate. So I'm asking for a cease and desist, immediate shut of the gate, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go into executive session. Everyone, thank you for coming. We will do our best to help you with your problems and problems with the education. I hear what you're saying.
Thank you,
You're
sir.
right. We're going in the back room to